You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hey everyone, good morning, good evening, good day, wherever it is, whatever time it is where you are, it does not matter. Because it's about to be a good time. Late night DJ coming in hot. My name is Paul.
Yeah, how do I follow that? I'm Rob.
Hi. It's okay. We live in a day and age where sometimes the most awkward thing is the funniest thing, and people love watching that stuff. So, you know, for me, awkward shuffling videos are not going to make me famous on TikTok, but I sure am trying, Jake, I promise.
Awkward shuffling videos? Mm-hmm. Like with cards? What do you mean shuffling?
No. Like shuffling.
Feet? Like dance? Like
you're dancing.
Michael Jackson?
A little bit different, but yeah. Yeah, I'll show you some stuff here in a little while, but yeah. Shuffling like dancing. Anyway, that said, welcome to the show, everyone. We've got a great question today. I honestly am really grateful for this particular question because it really raises a complex issue. And the issue is which drones are toys and which are tools, and which drones are commercially viable, right? And you've heard us go both ways on a lot of this stuff. And this particular question asker is frustrated. They believe that their Mavic Air 2 is not a commercially viable drone. Now, there are a lot of YouTubers out there who would disagree with him and do so forcibly and even maybe try to do aggressive things as well. But that's not us. And because it's not us, we're going to try to give you the full picture because there are drones that can do it all. And they're not the brand new, cool drones. These are the drones that get the job done. These are the drones that allow you to scale your business. Now, that said, we have said before that what's the best drone? It's the one that you have on you, right? You've heard us say that before. And there are a lot of times when that's true, and there's a lot of times when that's not true, when the drone that you have just simply can't do what you need it to do. So that's really going to be the topic of today's question, which I think a lot of you are going to find really interesting. And so in an effort to answer that question in the most complete form possible, I think we're going to talk about which drones can do which jobs, because there is a clear drone that can pretty much do it all. And it's also one of the most expensive ones. And there are very cheap drones like the Mini 2 that are being used in commercial ways that, I'm not going to lie, Rob, I never thought possible. I mean, You know who I'm talking about? We can't say the name, but that said, we've got people in construction using drones, the Mini 2.
And loving it.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that the Mini 2, and maybe this is an article I need to write, the new disposable camera is $500. No, think about it. You know, I mean, like a lot of these uses that we've been hearing for the Mini 2, they're just like, yeah, and if we crash it, we really don't care. And it's just like, wow, this is really changing the paradigm of acquiring footage.
I guess if you're a several billion-dollar construction company, you can say that.
Yeah, not everyone can say that.
No. Not at all.
But I will say I had a friend over last night who is an engineer who has never flown a drone before, and I pulled out the Mini 2 and I said, here, fly this in my house. I don't care if you crash it.
Hey, wait a minute.
I'm just kidding.
See, I always get the hand-me-down. So when Paul's doing classes and done doing classes and everything, that's when they come to me.
We're going to have to start slowing the class schedule down. Otherwise, you're not going to be getting any drones.
Yeah.
They're getting you. I'm just saying that because like we just had to get another new Phantom and they don't last long anymore. So,
well, we use the heck out of them.
But that's my point, yeah. So, well, let's get into today's question. Today's question is brought to you by Drone U's newest training program. I'm talking about Props. Drone U was built to help pilots. Props was built to help drone teams. In fact, we make the life of the manager easy because there's so many ways for drone programs to fail. There's so many ways, like not knowing if the pilot that you're trying to train has caught the bug, not knowing if they actually understand the material, and not knowing which material to even train them on. With Props, you can provide all of your pilots with a step-by-step workflow to get through the right training at the right time. Now, here's the thing. Here's the difference with props. In order to ensure that we can guarantee that your program actually produces professional, reliable operators who practice safety, we have a whole new way of testing and quizzing people, pilots. It's called scenario-based training in augmented reality. Why? Because, well, we started scenario-based training, and then even there's a company on the East Coast that I saw wrote an article about scenario-based training recently. I thought that was interesting. That said, we've been doing scenario-based training for years. It's just that you've had to come in person to do it. Well, now you can sit in your couch, in your pajamas. Maybe you're naked. I don't care.
I care.
I don't really care.
I don't want you watching if you're not wearing something.
Yeah, okay, good point. Okay, a little banana hammock, please, okay? That said, it doesn't matter what you're wearing. It doesn't matter where you are. You can take these scenario-based quizzes and tests anywhere in the world. That way, you know your pilots are proficient, not just current, right? Because a current pilot, well, they got their 107, they're good to go, right? Wrong, because the FAA never teaches you how to fly. That said, if you want to make sure that your pilots are professional, they're reliable operators who practice safety, you got to check out our props program, propsflightschool.com.
Hi, good evening. My name is John Winfrey, and I am a student/member of the Drone U. And I just watched a video, or I should say a webinar with Paul, I believe, and Vic talking about the Mavic Air 2. And I have to admit, after listening to the webinar, I am concerned that I bought an expensive toy rather than something that does have viable commercial uses. And in particular, my desire is to have a good drone to be able to get work for real estate, drone photography, and video. And so have to admit, I'm just really worried that I bought the wrong drone. I'm not looking for someone to tell me, everything I want to hear. I want the truth, of course, but I also am worried that I, spent good money on something that is the wrong thing. So I would really like someone to call me back and we can talk more about it. I appreciate all your feedback, and I have enjoyed my experience with the Drone U very much, and just want to try to do the right thing and buy the right tools for my business. So thank you so much.
John, thank you so much for the question. We definitely appreciate the kind words. Obviously, we're very blessed to have you as part of the Drone U community. And so let's hop in. How can we help him? I think one of the themes that I've picked up being a Drone U all these years, Drone U, Paul won't let me eat. And it's affecting my blood sugar.
What?
And
where did this come from?
Well, my speech is fading.
Oh, I'm sorry. We need some energy over here.
Anywho, no, in all seriousness, it's that ultimately you can produce something great based on being a great pilot. That said,
this is true.
You do need some solid equipment. So is the Mavic Air 2 solid for what it sounds like our friend John is trying to do?
Well, you bring up a really important point that in combining different skills, a good drone pilot can take any toy and turn it into a tool. But that said, there are also very real limitations to that tool's ability to aggregate data that is sufficient for our clients' needs/desires. What do I mean by that? Any drone is commercially viable, right? We've kind of said that before, even though I went on a diatribe about how the Mavic Air 2 is probably not commercially viable. That said, again, there are a lot of YouTubers on YouTube that would argue that the Mavic Air 2 is the absolute best thing in the world for real estate, and why would you use a geriatric drone like the Phantom? And I quote, and the answer, sir, is to scale your business to make it easier. Anyway, long story short is there are certain drones that can do certain things. When it comes to, he said real estate, he said just some other photos. What else did he mention?
No, I think he just said videography, photography, which of course, falls under the umbrella of real estate. So I think that's pretty much the umbrella he's looking at.
Yeah. And once again, all those things are totally commercially viable when it comes to the Mavic Air 2 and doing those things.
Yeah.
Right. But that drone is not going to give him super smooth tilts. It's not going to teach him how to set the exposure and the AE lock so that way the image doesn't change as he's tilting up and going into going into the home or whatever. Now, that said, would I use a Mavic Air 2 to shoot real estate? No, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably prefer the Mavic 2 Pro, frankly, or the Phantom. I'd probably stick with the Mavic 2 Pro. Why? Love the color gamut out of that Hasselblad sensor, right? Amazing color, great video. Now, here's the real reason why I would use the Mavic 2 Pro over the Mavic Air 2. There is still an opportunity for skilled drone pilots to overcome the competition with really smooth motion of flying indoors, inside of these homes. And by the way, the people that I see who are still maintaining these jobs and scaling their business, this is the type of stuff they're doing. One tool, do it all. Okay. That said, I cannot do that with a Mavic Air 2. I cannot do that with a Mini 2. Why? Because the drone is one way or another, whether it's VPS or obstacle avoidance, whatever, it's going to stop itself and stutter one way or another. We just saw it with the under the bridge shot of that ranch we were just looking at.
Yeah.
Yep. You see the stutter, right? And drone pilots, we're supposed to be known for smooth, captivating footage that makes us feel good.
So you're saying you're not able to turn those features off and therefore they will inhibit you?
Not completely with that drone. I will not be able to completely turn them off and it will inhibit me from doing the job. And what I'm not talking about attitude mode, I'm also talking about precision landing. I hate that setting with the Mini 2. And it goes to show that even if you try to tape the drone or whatever, it's still not a true attitude mode. So that said, is there a drone that could be more commercially viable? And the answer is clearly yes, duh. But when he says things about like, I want to get super smooth video, when I think about cinematic aerial video, I do not think of a drone that like the Mini 2, the Mavic Air 2, even sometimes the Phantom 4 Pro. Why? Because these new cinematic shots are ultra wide. They have this, you have the black bar on the top, black bar on the bottom. Yeah, you can add that to your footage and make it look quote unquote cinematic. But with something like the Inspire 2 X7, I can shoot that aspect ratio natively. Okay, I don't have to edit the footage. I don't have to screw with it. I can literally pull the card out, hand it to the director, and boom, I'm done with my job.
Right.
Which brings me to an important point, which is, he says, is my drone commercially viable? Well, the answer is yes, but it depends, right, on the jobs that you're taking on. You're not going to get a job on set with that. You're not going to do a commercial production with that. You're not going to do some higher level things. So the answer is really, well, it depends. What are you really trying to do?
Yeah.
And that's why, Rob, I thought it was just so important to kind of discuss what are the drones that can really like do it all when it comes to smooth videography, when it comes to entry-level drone jobs, but they can also get you the higher-end drone jobs, right? If you're making an investment with a drone to run a business, okay, let's say that you're in construction, right? Are you going to buy the, what is it called? It's like Skill Set or something. Those super cheap orange, they're like the Walmart brand. It's like Black & Decker's brand of drills and circular saws, right? Now, if you're a contractor, do you buy that stuff, which I would argue are toys, or do you go out and you buy the DeWalt Deluxe 40 amp or 40 volt, battery powered miter saw or something,
Right.
You get something that lasts. You get something that can produce a wide variety of results, which is why I have continued to recommend the Phantom, which is why I've continued to recommend the Inspire 2. The Inspire 2 can take on jobs the Phantom can't, right? With the native aspect ratio, the larger sensor of video, the ability to do complex cinematography, etc. But the next best step down is still a Phantom. It still is. It doesn't matter. Okay? Why? Look how big that sensor is. Okay?
But it doesn't look cool.
Who gives a I'm sorry.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I like to pretend I'm not a YouTuber, and I have learned instant gratification and looking cool get you about to the end of the bridge, and that's about it. And for me, my mindset's changed, Rob. It's just like, it's longer, you know?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I'm not trying to bash anybody. I'm just saying that I look at life in a very different way. Does it make sense?
It makes sense.
Am I bashing people?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, that said, not trying to bash anyone. We can interpret anything anyway, so it doesn't matter anymore. That said, when it comes to the commercial viability of your Mavic Air 2, there is so much you can do with that drone. There is so much. It's a smaller sensor, right? So you're not going to get, the more lifelike video that you would get the bigger drones, but you can still take incredible social media videos. You can still take incredible establishing shots. You can still get incredible, somewhat complex shots over stationary objects, right? Mm-hmm. It might not be the best for tracking. It might not be the best for doing certain things, but it's still commercially viable. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, it depends on what you mean by commercially viable. I think the way that he defined it for him, it's probably going to be able to cover the majority of what he wants to do at this point. Probably not a ton of opportunity for growth with it in terms of what you've been saying. But you did say something that was interesting to me, and that is that it could be great for example, social media videos.
A lot of videos are consumed on mobile, so yeah.
Yeah, and so when I think about that, I think, well, maybe that's one way you expand your business is by doing some of this stuff for other people's social media and make some money that way. And you could use it for that.
Phenomenal point, right? A lot of people are looking for marketing, especially marketing production. Mm-hmm. If you can make marketing production simple and easy, you're using your iPhone 12 on an Osmo Pocket or Osmo 4 and your Mavic Air 2, you could probably shoot the video in an hour or two and edit everything in your car before you leave, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's simplifying the workflow. That's making it more efficient. That's getting more jobs done.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a fire point, Rob.
So there are absolutely, it sounds as though, ways that John can make it happen with. So bottom line is, we want to tell you the truth, even if that does make you feel bad, but you don't need to feel bad in this case. But you do have to be aware that if you want to go bigger and better, you're probably going to have to buy bigger and better.
Yeah, and just to quickly recap, a good drone pilot can use his or her skills to make any tool work, even though it might be subpar. That said, it is much easier to complete jobs when you have the right tool, and you will be limited in what jobs you can take on based off of the tool of choice. Not just because of your quote-unquote perception of what's possible, but sometimes your clients can tell, okay? And sometimes your clients are going to realize that the competition might have a better offering than you at the same price. And sometimes your competition might have already met with your client and said, look at the video here, look at the detail, look at the homes, right? Look at all the homes in the neighborhood. How can I see all this information on the mountain, right? I mean, like, if you spend the time to educate your clients and show them the difference, so I've met a lot of clients who take pride and be like, I want the best drone video. I don't want that Walmart BS. Like, I mean, like you have met these people with me. I think there's a lot of them.
Sure. Yeah, it's very real.
Anyway, that said, recapping, any drone is commercially viable. The extent of which might be limited, but as good drone pilots, we can combine our skills and do all sorts of things. I hope that helps. If you have a question, askdroneu.com. We're out.